Okay. Welcome back. Today we're going to be going over liquidity. So we're going to be doing the project for liquidity. So again, just like we've done before, I'm going to be working out of the example loan project. You guys are going to be working out of whatever project that you were assigned, whether it be Brian's Beans, Neptune, Titan Hauler Transportation Co. Doesn't matter. I already have my commercial banking Excel document open. Okay, you're going to need that. You're going to need the policy guidelines. So let's get that open. You're going to need um, to open the loan project template. So let's go ahead and get that open. You're going to need, what else? Your company financial statements, right? And the last thing you're going to need is the conversation. You're going to need all those documents open. Each one plays a role in what we're about to do. Okay, yeah, that's all we need to open. So in total, it's like 6 documents. And what we're also going to need to do is open eMentor, RMA eMentor, and you can reach the eMentor website if you just scroll right on the Excel. So on the Excel, there's an area titled Industry Data, and then it tells you how to gather the industry data. So if this video doesn't serve you, then just go and look on the Excel, and the Excel is going to have it to the right, and it's going to be this section right here. This is how you get the industry data. So if you look at step number four gets us the link to RMA eMentor, the website. But we're not going to start there. We're going to start with gathering the NAICS code. So the first thing we're going to do in this one is we're going to gather the NAICS code. So the company that I'm doing, Iron Plow Grains, is a logistics company. And you might be wondering, oh, how do you know it's a logistics company? Well, I can tell you how it's a logistics company. When you read the conversation, they say we import wheat from partners' farms under bulk orders, which we repackage and ship to customers around the states. So this is a logistics company, and they focus on wheat. So they're a wheat distributor. So what I'm going to type in here is maybe logistics, right? And logistics has a NAICS code 541614. And you might be wondering, what the hell is a NAICS code? Well, a NAICS code is, oh man, I actually forgot what it stands for. Oh man, what in the world? What does NAICS code? Okay, don't worry, I'll look it up. North American Industry Classification System. That's what NAICS stands for. So NAICS stands for North American Industry Classification System. So NAICS is a way that Americans classify different industries. All you need to do though, all you need to focus on is going in, opening the account, opening the site, finding out what your business does. Let's say you have Brian's Beans. Brian's Beans is a coffee manufacturer. So let's type in coffee, right? Coffee, tea manufacturing. Your next code is going to be this. Okay. Let's say you have Neptune's, or you could also use this, or you could use this. It doesn't really make too big a difference which NAICS code you use. Whichever one you use, just make sure that it's the most accurate one to what you're going to be doing. Okay. So next, let's say you have Neptune's security systems, right? They sell security systems. So let's type in security systems, right? Security systems, except locksmiths, security guard, patrol services, national security, all these different NAICS codes. You're going to find out which NAICS code you have. Let's say you have Titan Hall, right? If you have Titan Hall, it literally says it in the name, I believe, like Titan Hall Logistics. You're going to type in logistics again, and that's how you come up with the NAICS code. You might be wondering, oh, well, what do I do next? Well, instead of panicking, what we're going to do next, we've gotten our NAICS code, right? Our NAICS code was 541614. We're going to control C that, right? We're going to come back here. We're going to say type industry and keyword, right? We've done all three of these steps and as pictured here. And then we're going to go in here to the eMentor RMA org HQ, which is the site that we already have open, right? Then we're going to go to Industry Resource Center. So we're going to go into the Industry Resource Center, which is up here. Click there. We're going to scroll down, right? We can find our NAICS code here, but we don't want to find our NAICS code. We already have our NAICS code. So we can control V, right? And now we have it. So we're going to click search. Okay. Open this up. And so there's a few things that we're going to use this for. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce you to a couple things now. So once we get into our conditions section, you guys are going to have to write an analysis based on what the overall market is doing. You're going to get the information for that analysis from this area. There's industry snapshot, and then there's the sub links. So there's the industry description, recent developments, overview, key metrics, and this is where you're going to gather the information to summarize what's happening in the industry. You can also come down to credit underwriting risks, and credit underwriting risks will tell you different things to look out for, different things that make this industry more difficult to work with. That's where we're going to gather our information from. Okay. So anyway, we're not worried about that today though. Today we're only going to go to financial discussion. Okay. Annual statement studies. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of good information here actually. But anyways, yeah, financial ratio benchmark data. We're going to click annual statement studies, right? Oh yeah, you guys should also make sure you go to forecasts and trends too. This is a lot of good information for the conditions section. But again, we're not worried about conditions yet. We're focused on this. So right now we're going to be working on financial discussion, and then I want you to click annual statement studies. Okay. Okay, so now let's bring this to the right, and now we have both things in view. Remember, I've already filled out my balance sheet, which is something you guys should have done in the last week's homework, and I've also already filled out my income statement, which is something else you should have done on the last homework. So this over here should be populated, and I shouldn't have any errors. Remember that this should be true. It's a test. If it's true, then we won't have any errors. Okay, so let me scroll down. Where are we at? Sales, FRB sales. So we're going to go to FRB sales, or actually, let me scroll right. Make sure I'm doing this right. All right, FRB sales. Okay, good. So we're going to go to FRB sales. And the reason why we're going to do sales instead of assets and instead of history is because we're doing a common size financial statement comparison, but we're not doing it based on the balance sheet. We're doing it based on the income statement. Okay? And the reason why we're doing that is because it's more difficult to gauge how a company should be performing based on the amount of assets they have. There's some companies that have a ton of assets, but they produce a limited amount of revenue. And there's other companies that have a tiny bit of assets, but they generate a lot of revenue. So when we're trying to gauge performance, we want to gauge performance based on the amount of revenue you can generate, not the amount of assets you have. Assets are not a good indicator of a company's performance, while sales are a very good indicator of a company's performance. So we have these options. They can make 1 to 1 million, up to 1 million in revenues, 1 to 3 million in revenues, 3 to 5 million in revenues, 5 to 10 million in revenues, or 10 to 25 million in revenues, or more than 25 million in revenues. And then there's lastly all. So all, if your company doesn't fit into any of these, then you're going to use all. And if you can't find any data down here, let's say the data for 1 million is empty, then you're also going to use all. Only use all if there's no data for the specific industry or the specific revenue size that you're looking for, or if the company you're working on doesn't have their revenue size represented in one of these. Okay, but for me, mine is 11 million, 16 million, 16 million, and then 5 million halfway throughout the year. So I'm going to assume that my company is doing between 10 to 25 million every single year in revenues. So between 10 and 25 million, we're going to scroll down and let's try and get this industry standard data from the income statement. Let's start with the income statement, all right? Since we're on that page. So for the income statement, let's scroll down and let's see if we can't find, oh, here we go, income data. So net sales 100%, right? Gross profit 100%, right? And when their gross profit is 100%, that doesn't mean that they're outperforming my company, guys. That means that they don't recognize cost of goods sold, whereas my company does recognize cost of goods sold. Okay? So keep that in mind. There might be an option to do cost of sales, and there might not be an option to do cost of sales. If there is an option to do cost of sales, then you should do cost of sales. If there isn't an option to do cost of sales, well, you got to do what you got to do. Okay? So anyways, operating expenses, I'm not going to use that. Operating profit, okay, 4.9%. So as you can see, when we get down to operating profit, my company that I'm working with, they're a little bit closer to the industry standard. So they're at 2 and 1%, and the industry standard is 5%. So they're not too far off. Okay, all other expenses, profit before taxes, that's going to be your net income. Okay, that's going to be your net income. Profit before taxes is 3.9. So we're going to put 3.9. All right. And then their EBITDA, the industry standard EBITDA is 7.9%, 7.9. And EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. EBITDA takes out the non-cash expenses. So if it's an expense, but you didn't lose any cash over it, it takes that out. And then it also takes out interest, which we want taken out because as a bank, we're going to be the ones charging interest. So there's no point in leaving that in. And then taxes. And the reason why we'll take taxes out is because when we're running projections, we actually use taxes as a part of our projections, and we'll go a lot deeper into why that matters when we get to um, cash flow available for debt service. So now I'm going to open up the project template. And again, when we get to cash flow available for debt service, we're also going to go over the income statement too, again. So we're going to fill out this information once we get to um, cash flow available for debt service. So we can delete this out because we're not going to be using that. And what we can put there is our information. And remember, if you cannot do copy as picture, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to copy it as a screenshot. Okay, copy it as a screenshot. And I hope that you're taking note of the layout options. I see the layout options appear, I click it, and then I go down to top and bottom. That's the one that I want you to do. It makes it a lot easier to move this thing around. Okay. So anyways, now we have our income statement data. We got our income statement, and then we have our sales increase decrease data. Okay, for our income statement. So we're going to hide this, and we're going to go back into the RMA, and now we're going to go to balance sheet. So we have one chart, and then we have two charts that we have to fill out here, right? So let's start with the cash cycle, and let's see if we can't find it. Where is it at? Where is it at? This is getting weird. Oh, here we go. That's what it was. I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. Sales / receivables. Okay, we gotta find the sales. Oh, here we go. It was right in my face. I just wasn't looking. Here we go. Sales / receivables. Okay. Oh, and it looks like they don't report cost of sales inventory or cost of sales payables. So they don't report payables or inventory, but they do report receivables. So it's not typical in this industry to have payables, but it is typical in this industry to have receivables. But as you see, my company, they do payables. But needless to say, my company does not have receivables, so we can enter 0, because remember the industry standard, there's no data. Okay, so we can enter 0. And for the accounts payables, there's also no data, so we can enter 0. Okay. Now, as far as the accounts receivables days on hand go, we're going to take, let me go to my notes and see which one we're supposed to take. Are we taking the denominator or the numerator here? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we're only going to take the data in the brackets. So, okay, you see? Data in the brackets. Okay. So pay close attention to what I'm about to do. We have our low, our high, and our ultra high. Okay, so this is supposed to say mid, right? So we have our low, our medium, and our high. So our industry low is going to be 13 days. Our industry medium is going to be 25 days. And our industry high is going to be 43 days. Remember, we're only taking the data from the brackets. Oh, and I gathered that from the wrong section. I'm supposed to take 10 to 25 million. So 10 to 25 million, that's going to change it from 13 days to 28 days, right? 28 days, 39 days, and 62 days. So we're going to do 28 days, 39 days, and 62 days. Okay. We're only taking the information from the brackets. If it's outside, that means that it's a turnover ratio. This is days on hand. This is turnover. Days on hand, turnover. And the section that I'm looking in is ratios. When you see sales receivables, it'll tell you. Now we're going to take the current and quick ratios. So now we're going to take the current and quick ratio information. So the current ratio here, down here, we're going to come down here. I'm on the 1025, right? So it's going to be 3.3. Oh no, it's going to be 1.2, right? 1.2, 2, 3.3. Remember, we're going smallest to largest. Now we're going to do for the quick ratio, which is the same as acid test ratio. Remember, acid test ratio and quick ratio are the same thing. So quick ratio, the lower quartile is going to be 0.8, 0.8, 1.5, and 2.3. Okay. Now let's go down. Here's our debt to tangible net worth. This is the section I'm pulling from. So our lower quartile is going to be 7.8. And you might be wondering, well, why are you doing the big ones here? Well, because remember, when it comes to debt to tangible net worth, we don't like a bigger number. We want a smaller number. So if you're at 0.8, that means that you're outperforming. This is the higher quartile. This is the higher quartile, okay? That means that this is the one to beat. If you're greater than this, that means that you're outcompeting the industry. If you're greater than this, that means that you're doing decent in the industry. Any number in between these two is a pretty good capitalized company. Any company between these two is a pretty poorly capitalized company, because that means they're below the industry median. They're in the lower 50% if they're in between these two. Okay. Now, in this one, if they're greater than 0.8 and they're lower than 1.5, then same things. It still stands. That means that they're lower than the industry median. Whereas if they're above 1.5 and in between 2.3, that means that they're doing better than the industry. If they're greater than 2.3, then that means that they're really outperforming the industry. Okay, so this is how you fill out these charts. So now we're going to move these charts over, right? And we don't need the annual studies anymore or the NAICS Code. So we can close that. You don't need to know about that. We can close that, right? Let's open this back up. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our balance sheet ratios, going to copy it, we're going to move it here. Okay. Our balance sheet summary, we're going to take it, we're going to move it here. Right. Okay. And now let's go up. Oh no, not up. Let's go down. Right here where it says working capital. We're going to take our cash cycle and we're going to move it here. Cash cycle, boom. Okay, cool.